this morning. And going to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown on what's going to happen this morning. Basically, once I'm done speaking here, Beth's going to come on, give you a little bit of a breakdown of the macro environment, any news events that are happening over the course of today or happen over the course of this evening. Look at any of the bigger picture items that make sense to be looking at, commodities, ETFs, etc. After that's done, I'm going to come back on. This is Spartan speaking, by the way. And we're going to be going through the names that are gapping up, gapping down, going through the technicals on those names, building an action plan for them, as well as going through the news associated with those gap up, gap downs, and then the SPY, the FANG, the VIX, the Qs, and the IWM. After that's done, South Beach will come on, give you a breakdown of what he's looking at from a macro perspective today, any analyst calls as well that have caught his eye, and individual names. And we'll do a quick little recap before the open of those names that I went through in regards to the gap up, gap downs and the action plan, and then we'll be ready to go. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to Beth, and we'll talk to you guys shortly. Beth, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. Welcome. Pre-market here at SpartanTrading.com. This is what we do every day. Welcome to our live YouTube stream, folks. Let's have some fun. We have a lot to talk about, obviously. And I want to go over why the market is focused on the wrong thing when it comes to the Fed chair. And we'll go into detail about that. It's not really a civics lesson, but I don't think people understand the mechanisms, how this works. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about EV, right? Lots of stuff going on there. We now also have statistical back up in terms of what I've been talking about, the value versus growth going into the next few months. Okay, so what happened yesterday? We basically had some very strong numbers, well, stronger numbers, right? Across the board. And this should not be surprising to anyone, right? A lot of Fed heads talking, Bostic, Perkins, Harker daily. Some say we have to wait and be patient, yada, yada, yada. Well, I don't know if we're going to call it transitory, but you get the idea, the gist of it all. Now, numbers out of the UK are pretty important. There is talk that they will be looking to raise rates, believe it or not, next month. I know, but that's what they're talking about right now. Okay, let's take a peek what's going on here. We have some mortgage refinancing stuff, housing starts. Let's see how that, building permits, do we see continuation? And then we have FedEd, Williams speaking, and then EIA. Okay, all right, Bowman. Well, you can see a lot of Fed heads talking. This is what they do. I don't know why they allow them to talk, but this is what they do. Okay. Nurses' salaries rises. God bless. I'm sorry. If you don't think that these doctors, the nurses, especially in the aides, come on. I don't know. Having experiences firsthand in the hospital, I'm telling you, they're wonderful, they're amazing, the kindness and generosity they are. All right, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac to back home loans. Okay, interesting. They got to raise their levels, okay. So the question is going to be is, are we doing the same thing as like Toronto and Vancouver and stuff like that on the Canadian side, where basically it's now a legacy? Housing is now a legacy sort of thing? I have no idea. That's okay. Jury process certification, okay, whatever. Not much going on here on the Chinese front, right? They had a very nice chat, and they're going to ease restrictions on journalists. Wow. China warns us about playing with fire on Taiwan. Anyways. China and US agree to either, well, whatever. Now this is interesting, right? Top fund managers make biggest bet on US stocks since 2013. At this level, you're deciding that you want to do it? I mean, seriously. Talk up. And we've already seen that in terms of on the momentum side, right? The breakouts, daily, weekly, monthly, all-time highs, yada, 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 yada. It's still the trend is your best friend in stocks still. We want to talk about inflation too. We're going to take a walk on the wild side. Most US ties, counter, whatever. All right, this is interesting. The market has to become more comfortable, I guess is the way to put it, with higher interest rates based off of inflation. Right? I don't think we go anywhere. I think the range still holds on the upper quadrant, but on the yield side, but I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see. Right? Okay, value fund bets that millennials aren't that different from their parents. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Maybe because of their age now. I don't know. Whatever. Study, okay, we talked about rate increase. Federal Reserve President James Bullard said the central bank should speed up its reduction. I think that would be fantastically positive for this market. Now, don't forget, we've got all kinds of peaks, right? Now let's take a look at global inflation. Once upon a time, if you go back to 1980s, you can even go back before that, right? With productivity and everything that's going on here, this is by far the lowest quadrant in decades, multiple decades. Why is everybody so scared of this? I don't understand. Inflation is a normal part of a working economy. When you don't have inflation, that's a problem. When you have stagflation, that's a huge problem. Okay, but all the economic data is showing that we are recovering and we're going to see that tailwind. Why can't we all live together with a higher inflation? I don't understand it. If you look at the mean is probably around 3 to 4%, maybe 3 to 5%. And yet some arbitrary 2%, it's ridiculous. And this is central banks bringing a house of cards upon themselves, a pox on their house because of this. Let's take a look at US inflation going back to 1960. If you look at the mean, it's probably around 3 to 4% again. And yet here we are. Everybody's worried, a wall of worry about it. Hey, inflation is okay. It's okay. I would get concerned basically anything above 4%, maybe 5%. It's still the upper quadrant of 5.4%. Why are we so worried? I know. Anyways, okay, let's talk. Does anyone here know how many Fed members there are? Anybody? Does anyone know what their vote count is? All right, so let's talk. All right, when the FOMC meets, it's a rotation, 7 governors voting majority, and there's 5 votes that rotate through. So there's 12 altogether. 1 vote, 1 person. Powell has 1 vote, 1 person. The thing that should be scaring the bejeebies out of the market is that this administration has to replace 4 to 5 Fed heads. Now, if they stack it with doves versus hawks, that's the real problem. That is the real problem. Powell, Brainerd, whatever, they still only have 1 vote. I'm just saying. And everybody said, oh my God, 1 vote. 1 out of, 7. I know. I'm not worried about it. Okay, here you can see, right? In terms of the dot plot. What's going on? There's lots of votes here. Only 1 vote, right? Okay. I don't know. I think it's going to be Brainerd, but I don't even think it, like I say, the market will get used to it and the market will understand 1 vote. That's it, 1 vote. And here we go, the betting pool. 65 cents, up 3 cents. Brainerd is 41 cents. And Boston Ferguson, yeah. So it's tight, I understand. I don't know why everybody gets so upset. All right, read. Educate yourself. All right, let's take a look here at upgrades, downgrades. Who the hell, this Moffat, Nathanson, I don't know, Roku, whatever. Upgrades, downgrades, all the way around grades, lots of initiations. Let's see what our peeps are saying. H is in Hyatt, CMP, Compass, Workday, top peeps. Over here, Tesla, sell. PNP. Who cares? I mean, only less than 1 star. Rank is 6,727 out of 7,727. Okay, let's do it. Large cap, small cap calendar. March to May, large cap percentage 506%, small caps 292%, May to June, you don't want to be in it. June to August, well, you know, sell in May, go away, come back. Right? Okay. August to September, yeah. September to November, large cap, yeah. Look at this, November to March, small caps, hold. 37,000% kicking ass against large cap. Just saying. And this goes back to 1953. He's still my friggin' heart. Anyways, that's the story. Sticking to it. Okay, I hate it when this happens. Okay, when people, what's the rule about commodities? This is how we make our money. You want to buy what nobody wants to buy. You want to sell what nobody wants to sell. Everybody's saying, "Oh, gold, gold, gold." Oh, yeah. It really worries me. Gold after breaking out from compressed weekly Bollinger Band. Yeah, but it's only 75%. Well, great. If we were right all these times, it would be fantastic. But anyways, let's move on. Indicators at extremes. Bullish for stocks, showing pessimism, 2%. Optimism, 47%. Mutual fund flows, not robust, but yeah, you can see here. I know. Doesn't, you know, this is one of those things where it just doesn't feel like the market's making all-time highs. It just doesn't. I mean, it's just a grind, and this is what lulls you to sleep, is because it's just a grind. But then you have like Home Depot, and then you have like Dollar Tree. They're basically, my God. All right, so this is a tailwind because it's a divergence, because New York NYSE up volume ratio continues to come down. That's a bullish divergence. Insider belt, buy, sell, a seasonal adjusted. This is a bullish divergence, right? We know there's Thanksgiving. I'm going to keep talking about it one day after. Yeah. Black Friday, and then sell. Optimism, high. Short-term optimism, starting to reclaim. Percentage showing excess optimism. All right, well, it's getting there, right? McClellan Oscillator, this is really interesting as well. It's coming in, I know. Who would have thought? Funny. So, I mean, what Spartan keeps mentioning, and I agree 100%, is it's where the consolidation occurs. If the consolidation occurs at the upper quadrant, okay, like in the top 10 percentage percentile, right? And it does that, that's bullish, right? You're not seeing profit taking, you're not seeing it come back down. People will be waiting for it to come back down for them to grab it. Then you get that FOMO type of thing. All right, we got lots of rosies here. I understand this. Lots of new highs. I understand this, but energy still in the 90+ percentage, 50 and 200 day. It's been like this for weeks and weeks and weeks. Keynesian theory in play, right? Market can say higher and longer than you can pick a top and say solve it. It's just how it works. Heat map, this is a great heat map too. Look at this. And obviously a lot of bonds are in here. The 10 year is at 4. It's gonna bounce. I don't know when, but it's gonna bounce. But lots of stuff comes come back in. XLY, you can see this. Amazon, Tesla, etc. So this is gonna be interesting because we do have NVIDIA, right, this after. So I'm a little bit, well, we went over the NVIDIA seasonality chart, right? Even if it comes in, you want to buy it, okay? So if it does come in, I don't see it being robustly down. All right, fund flows. Money coming out of queues. All right, where's it going? You guessed it, SPY. This is fascinating, just fascinating. And that's why when the market actually does have a meaningful pullback, it's going to be on the SPY, I think, because that's what people are loaded up. Well, let's take a peek. Yesterday, what do we got? Consumer staples coming in, XLY, Qualcomm, top dog, Home Depot, Etsy. Lots of XLY, Lowe's today. Wow, what a difference, right? Target versus Lowe's. Okay. Well, you know what I think about that. I'm not in Target. All right, let's take a peek. What happened yesterday? Tesla. More call buying than put buying. AMD. This is actually, so these are all memes. Okay. Things that they finally are reflective of the actual market now. This is a good thing. Bobalicious. Okay. Falls under retail trade. All right, NVIDIA. So how about Baidu, right? With their cloud stuff, right? I think what's going to happen is, well, then you have JMIA. Well, anyways, and Billy. There was call sweeps that came in at the end of the day on Billy. Right? What's going on today? Dollar Tree, GOEV. So Canoe, I tried to find a Canoe option trade. I couldn't, so I just went with the equity. Okay. Same thing with PROG. I just bought equity on it. Sometimes that's what you have to do, right? And then we've got Lucid, you name it, we got it. At Home Depot, NVIDIA, Peloton, Qualcomm, RMO, that actually printed yesterday multiple times. And Target. So this is what we got. You would think we'd have Lucid, right? Nope. Yesterday. Look at this wee little Billy. Over $800,000 came in. I don't know what this is though. I don't know if this is a roll. I have no idea. Don't forget it's OPEX. So there's a lot of stuff that goes through that absolutely, we have no idea what the hell it means. We don't, because it's OPEX. High volume this week, all kinds of stuff, in the money, out of the money, at the money. So you just basically follow the charts and put your nose down and head down and off you go. Okay, here, interest rate, yield curve steepening a touch, right? Higher in Canada, overseas, Germany, France, UK is flat. Spain, Italy, Japan. There's a lot of problems in Japan, but there's been problems in Japan for decades, right? All right, let's do it. 5-year S&P, 5-year against the futures, S&P. The wall of wood, this shows you for a fact, okay? The market actually goes up when interest rates go up. Why? Because it's a stronger economy, yada, yada, yada. For now, there's no stagflation, right? That's a good thing for the market. Look at this. You see, this is why I'm so surprised sometimes. All right, 5-year. All right, 1.3%. That breaks. The next level up is going to be 1.51%. You can see that there's a pennant flag that kind of got broken. I don't know. I just can't imagine, to be honest with you, that we're going to go anywhere until the next FOMC with the holidays coming in and stuff like that. All right, here's 5 against the 10. You see it's pulling back a little bit, right? So that means that the yield curve is steepening a little bit, 5 and 10, right? Here's the 530. You can see here it's pulling back down below last month's high. Okay, this is notable. I just don't see how, with all that's going on, this market, okay, yeah, it can get up here. I understand, but on a risk reward basis, when you're down here, and you basically have on the upside 0.73, point. Anyways, on a risk reward, this yield curve flattening is getting a very very long in the tooth, and we need more information from. I hope they speed up their tapering. I hope they do, because don't forget, if you're tapering, you're still doing quantitative easing, right? All right. So the 10-year, totally different look, right? 5-year is the sweet spot on the taper side. Totally different look. Yet people continue to be fixated on the 10-year as opposed to the 5-year. I do this every morning. I say the same thing, and it continues to do the same thing. So yield curve is starting to steepen here, 30 against the 10, right? Bonds, TLT, 20-year. Waiting for Godot. Nothing going on here. Nothing's been going on for a while now, since June. I'm just saying. German 10-year, okay, bouncing off. I suspect equilibrium now is minus 0.164. Okay, I'd like to see it, but we need more data coming out. Another few months and see how that. This is obviously breaking down. You can see that the U.S. is starting to steepen against the German rates, and there is capital flows with that, with the dollar, et cetera. Here's the Chinese interest rates. Basically, I still think this is going to be an inside month. I don't see any reason for it to change from last month's candle, which was crazy. Okay, this is the real estate. Let's take a look here, real-time dollar. You can see here, it is breaking out, no question. I would be absolutely positively stunned if the dollar continues to go higher, because that would be a function of your interest rates once again making the next leg up. Here's the Chinese, right? They're revaluing, they're strengthening their currency. I know. Commodities, you can see sloppy choppy all over the place, right? With oil and natural gas all coming in. I was in that KOLD, I should have stuck with it, but anyways, I'm not going to chase it here. Cryptos. What a crazy week. I don't know. All right. Well, it's coming in a little bit. Small caps coming in, yada, yada. VIX is coming in. Yeah, sloppy choppy. All right, so let's talk. This is interesting, right? We're going to talk about EVs if I got enough time. They're going to go after China, Middle East by mid-decade. That's kind of cool, actually. Let's do it. NEO. W, but as you can see, believe it or not, NEO is the weakest of the Chinese EVs. XPEV, this is the one I like. Look at it breaking out. You can see it. That's LFG. See what happens here? It has to take out last week's high, right? Here's Li, L-I, same narrative. All right, so let's take a walk on the wild side. XPEV against Li. XPEV's been kicking Li's butt, but this week you can see that Li's starting to do a little bit of catch up, okay? Still within this quadrant, but if you look at it, okay, in this regard, you can see that XPEV has been outperforming Li by 26%. You know, it can come back down here and then start. I still think XPEV is the one you want to be in. Look at NEO against XPEV, just a highway down, right? Grind, 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 grind. Let's see if it actually breaks this level. Notable, then we got some serious move on the outperform side. His BYD, this is the BYD, right? This is Warren Buffett's trade. Breaking out, looking good. So a lot of these EV, Chinese EV, everybody looks better than NEO right now. I mean, everybody looks better than NEO. Notable, right? Now, let's talk about some of these spreads. His BYDDF against XPEV. So it has been weakening against XPEV. We are at critical levels across the board on XPEV. So that's notable, right? So we have to keep in mind what's going to happen there. These spreads are important in terms of money flows, right? My time is up. Welcome once again for those of you joining us pre-market here, our YouTube live stream. It's time for me to pass it on to Spartan. Are you ready, sir?
Just need a couple of minutes here, Beth, please.
No problem. Okay, I want to introduce you for friends overseas in China. This is the electric vehicle and battery ETF. This is Hong Kong, US dollars, okay? The US market, right? They're both listed in Hong Kong, all right? So this is really what's fascinating. I wanted to show this, bring this to your attention, because believe it or not, this BYD is the top holding, okay? And then you have all these other ones. No idea. But I just find it fascinating that BYD would be the top holdings, not NEO, not Li, not XPEV, right? So let's take a look at this. Look at this, okay? Chartable. Right? This is a US dollar version of it, MIRAE, right? Holding this double bottom here. Let's see if it starts to call up. Once again, I don't, and this is for our Chinese members, I have no idea who these are, but I suspect that our Chinese members are quite familiar with this. That's why I'm presenting it for our Chinese members, okay? All right, let's take a look at Lucid against Li. I still think we go higher here, okay? Lucid against XPEV. I think we go higher here. So this is the reversal of that, right? And then you can see Lucid against PYDDF. So what does this mean? Lucid, right, is the one you want to be in. But, let's talk here. We're getting to levels that are really interesting right now. I still, Lucid has potentially a 26% continuation gain. It is the upper quadrant. It's the top third. I understand this, but the trend is your friend. And I don't know if you want to get out of this thing. And it's been really going since October, right? So, you know, you don't want to pick a top in this because you're kind of in no man's land. So believe it or not, 41% against XPEV. Crazy, I know. Lucid, BYDDF, 39% potential just to get to this double top. Lucid against Neo already, well, no duh. Right? So Lucid's already broken out against Neo because Neo, once again, is the weakest EV, Chinese EV. All right, let's take a look at the Shanghai Composite. Still holding up okay. CQQQ, let's see if we break out. We've been kind of mucking around here. Once again, what we're doing is we're consolidating in the upper quadrant here. You can't assume it's going to break out, but you have to be aware of this. This is the QQQs, Chinese QQQs. Okay, all right. Here's a QQQ against, this is the one that really got my attention. I continue to say this, is that this should have broken and held on a flag formation, but it's not. So we should kind of pull back here. That would be more, well, it could, one or two things, right? OQs weaken and the Chinese don't do anything, Chinese QQQs, or QQQs do nothing and the Chinese QQQs go high. I don't know. You don't know. You don't know how it's going to play out. FXI, it also is consolidating. It's a monthly consolidating in the upper quadrant. Notable. Will it break out? No idea. There's a lot of resistance. You can see that on the EMAs, etc. Right? I don't know. We have earnings, right? That could be what does it. I don't know. Right? Okay, A shares. This is this month's candle. It's an inside month from last month. This is the finance institutions, Chinese. I don't know how this plays out. You don't know. You got to be patient. K-Web, once again, consolidating, trying to hold this level, right? So obviously a break of this week's low would probably, I don't know. Yeah, it's okay to say you don't know. You just follow the technical and see what happens. On a risk reward basis, there's really no setup here unless you want to go on the sell side and basically you stop at last week's high. I don't know. You gotta wait, gotta be patient, right? All right, let's take a look at Fuchu, double bottom.
All right, Beth, ready to come on.
All right, my friends.
All right, guys, what's up? Let me just pop up the screen share here. Let's take a look at what we got going on today. A couple different things. If you guys are new to chat, make sure to click the Discord link that's emailed to you. I'll go through the, what to do when you come into chat in a little bit once we close down the YouTube stream. But in short, when you come in, guys, it looks like this. Disclaimer section, click on that, give it a read, and then read from the top down from new to chat information. All right. Let's take a look at what we got going on today. Pre-market tickers on watch, a couple different things. Tesla, Roku, low, Rivian, LCID, and then Prague. The Tesla gapping up continuation from last day. Roku, Moffett, Nathanson downgrades Roku to sell, price target 220, stocks gapping down, low earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 2.7%, 2022 guidance raised, stocks gapping up. Rivian profit taking coming into today after last day's push and extension. Lucid was gapping up. I think it may be, I got to look again, down a little bit from that Rivian pullback. It's kind of pulling back all the EVs right now. And then Prague being pushed on social media, including Wall Street Bets, stocks gapping up on that. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint. Intraday. So first two we're going to be looking at today, guys, Tesla and Roku. Oops, there we go. Let's have a look at these names. All righty. So Tesla, Roku. Tesla, obviously a little bit of a gap up from last day. Let's take a look at that daily real quick. So we were extended to the downside the previous day. Downtrend did break in the short term. We're pushing back to reclaim EMA support short term, as well as Tesla's inverted head and shoulders, not inverted, normal head and shoulders on the upside around that 1094 level, which should be labeled correct. It is. Okay. Well, maybe put that EMA resistance as well, 1067. That's close. There we go. That's fine. Okay. That will be the pivot today. EMA support reclaim in the short term. So pivot today, 1066.24 levels able to hold 1078.96. Will be tested to the 1095.81, which will be the head and shoulders level on the daily. Unable to hold 1047.58 to 1013.87 is where we got room down to. Overall on Tesla, going to be leaning bullish neutral. If we can hold that pivot, I think we can continue to grind higher into that 1095.81 level. I do think that's going to be the magnet in the short term. I think it does need to push back to retest that level. Of course, holding the short-term EMA support on the daily is going to be the key though. So that's going to be Tesla. Let's take a look at Roku. So stocks breaking down. We are below this recent range. Low to the downside, which we'll label in a second here. Look at last day's high area as well. Let's get the supports on the downside. So previous pivot, 1056. Don't think I need to go this high, but I will throw something there for now. Previous pivot under that. All right, let's take a look at this intraday. I'm going to get those two levels, recent range low, and then the last day. $56.75. So I'm gonna have some room to the downside here. I can't really see it on the intraday chart, but let's just talk about it. So pivot to the downside today is going to be 268.59. That level is unable to hold. 256.75 will be tested. Then we got room towards that 240.70 level on the downside. Able to hold, we look for pushback on Roku to the upside into the 276.53 to 283.47 on the upside. Overall on Roku, going to be leaning bearish, looking for continuation lower today. Finally did break that range to the downside. It's been bearishly consolidating for the better half of a week and a change. So I think we can get the next leg down today. So that's Tesla. That is Roku. So leaning bearish on Roku, leaning bullish neutral on Tesla. All right, let's take a screenshot of these two. Let's move on to the next. Low and Rivian. We have to do an intraday one as well. All right, let's take a look at this low. I'm gonna have to do an intraday fib. I'm thinking I will. Yep, that works. All right, 253.45 pivot to the upside today on low. Levels able to hold. To get room towards 256.86 to 259.55 level on the upside. Unable to hold, look for a pullback to 249.25 and 246.74 on the downside. Overall on low, going to be leading on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher. if that pivot point can hold. Pivot point holds, we should be able to get continuation, all-time high range breakout on good earnings. They raise guidance, you know, typically a positive for continuation. So that is low. Let's take a look at Rivian here, which is pulling back after last day's move, extended on the daily to the upside, you know, finally. Look at the top channel as well. See where it's breaking back within. And I basically got to label every single thing on the hourly. Let's flip to intraday here. It comes even closer. So breaking back within the channel on Rivian, the uptrend channel that is. So pivot to the upside today is 153.93. This level is unable to hold. 150.35 to 138.91 will be tested. Able to hold, we can bounce back towards the top area of the channel. 169.33 resistance. That level breaks. We can see the last day's high 176, or sorry, 179.65. Overall, right now, we're at the middle of the channel. We're holding. I'm going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side. If that pivot point can hold, we can push back up towards the top of the channel. If we're unable to hold that pivot, we should trade off to the bottom end of the channel. So, but I'll be leaning bullish neutral right now. It seems to be holding. And we do have some support there. So I'll give it the benefit of the doubt right now. But of course, if that channel gets crossed to the downside, I will be looking for continuation lower. Or sorry, the pivot gets crossed to the downside. We're looking for a continuation lower to the bottom end of the channel. That's low. That is Rivian. All right, let's take a look at the next two names. Lucid and Prague. Oh, I need to go that high. Maybe I do actually. Pretty decent gap up. All right, let's take a look at this thing intraday. Look at that one right to the top of that pivot point, eh? Always love, or the fib, always love that. Shows you how powerful technicals are. And upper end quadrant, 67.54. Okay. 67.54. Okay, so pivot to the upside today on this Lucid is going to be that 57.06. Levels able to hold 61.76 to 67.54 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback on Lucid towards 53.35 to 47.99 on the downside. Overall, on Lucid, we're going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point can hold. We'll see if it's able to do so. Again, going to give it the kind of the benefit of the doubt here. It's holding above the pivot right now. We'll see if it can hold for continuation to the upside. Been a very strong chart as of late. Tons of momentum on the name and follow through. We'll see if that can continue as long as that pivot point is holding. So that is Lucid. Let's take a look at Prague. I just realized I didn't screenshot the other two names, which I'm going to do real quick. All right, 1 second here. Oh, I did get them. What the heck? I didn't see it. All right, let's take a look at the Prague then. So PROG, stocks gapping up. Basically being pushed on social media there. So we're at about 589 a share, high the pre-market 640. All right, let's get some levels going. All right, let's take a look at this thing intraday. All right, so everything lines up nicely here. Only thing I will do is I will get another lower end level. Or 67. Okay, for 592, sorry, 592, 562 pivot to the upside today. This level is able to hold 620 to 680 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for pullback towards the 507 to 467 on the downside. I'm actually leaning bullish neutral on the name right now. Looks like a steady grinder to the upside. Range isn't huge, so it's not getting extended from its, basically mean. I think it can get continuation higher just because of its lower volatility on this small stock. As long as that pivot can stay intact, I can grind higher in my opinion. So that's Lucid and that is Prague. All righty, let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. So SPY and the FANG, let's have a look. So pivot to the upside today, guys, is going to be that 469.36. That level is able to hold. We got room towards 470.50 on the upside. Breaks. Next technical resistance is, looks like 472.65. Unable to hold. Look for a pullback on SPY into the 468.27 to 466.97 on the downside. Overall on the SPY, going to be leaning bullish neutral, but we do have a double top on the daily right now. The market looks bullish from a technical perspective, but we need to break through this double top on the daily. So we've to range break setting up. Got to get through the all-time highs for continuation. That's going to be the big key. Otherwise, we start to pull back and continue to consolidate intra-week, which may happen. It kind of looks like that's what we're seeing right now. Keep an eye on the pivot. Like I said, bullish neutral. If we can get back above it, if we can't, then we'll be range bound inside day, stuck within this last day high and low. And I think I'll just be consolidating there. It may be a little bit choppy because of that. If obviously we break through the highs, then you get a nice breakout to the upside and you get squeezes across the board. But it's looking like an inside day at the moment. So that's SPY. Let's take a look at Apple. And as you do, I'm going to do this. I like to have the daily chart up. So Apple bullishly consolidating on the day. You got a big flag pattern setting up. Not sure if we're going to be able to take it out today, but it does look pretty good. Pivot to the upside today is going to be this 150.95 spot. Levels able to hold 151.88 to 152.48 can be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback to 149.79 to the 148.55 on the downside. Going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation higher. I think it held up extremely well yesterday, and it showed us that it wants to push. Today is going to be another big day for Apple. If we can get through the last day's highs and get a continuation push, that will help push the market to the upside. I think it will be actually a key for continuation. So we'll see what happens there. Going to be leaning bullish neutral on Apple. Let's take a look at Amazon. So bullish consolidation as well on the daily flag that's formed. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the 35.49.41. This level is able to hold. We got room for continuation on Amazon into 35.74.41. Unable, that level breaks 35.98. Unable to hold, we look for pullback towards 35.25 on the downside there. Overall on Amazon, going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for continuation push higher if we can break and hold above that pivot today. Has been bullishly consolidating for a few days, so it may be ready for it to actually break out. We'll see. Done a pretty good job of holding up though, that's for sure. All right, that's Amazon. Let's take a look at Netflix. So Netflix daily, similar to the SPY, you know, we got an approach of that all-time high range breakout area here. It's a good looking chart. Pivot to the upside today. Whoops, let's get that back there. It's going to be right here. So pivot to the upside, it's going to be 685.34 level hold, 692.22 will be tested. Unable to hold 676.93. Going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to all-time highs. Clearly wants to test it. That's the magnet. And obviously, if we break that level, I do think we have some room into the 700 level, but we'll see what happens. Let's take a look at Facebook, which has been surprisingly resilient. All right, Facebook. So pulled back to short-term EMA support, a little bit of a choppy channel that it's in, pretty wide actually. Pivot to the upside today is going to be this level right here, 344.50. Levels able to hold. We got room towards 346.83 to 349.32. Unable to hold, look for pullback towards 342.42 to 339.83. Going to be actually leaning on the bearish side today, looking for continuation lower. I think it wants to retest that 50 EMA. I'm going to go with the hourly too. It's stuck in the downtrend for now, so bearish until it reclaims that level. That is Facebook. Let's take a look at Google. Looks like Discord just went down, guys. FYI. Google 291.50, sorry, 29.51 pivot levels able to hold. We got room for continuation into the 29.75 to 3,004. Unable to hold 29.24 on the downside will be tested. Overall on Google, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation grind higher if that pivot point can hold. So that is Google. Let's take a look at the VIX, Qs, and IWM. All right. VIX 1633 pivot level hold $17 will be tested. Unable to hold 1566 on the downside. Overall on the VIX, not leaning in any direction, but using it for direction on the market as usual. Let's take a look at the QQQs. Screenshot this real quick. All right, QQQ 397 pivot levels able to hold 399.08 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback on the Qs into the 395.08 to 393.51 on the downside. Over on the Qs, I'm actually leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for continuation push higher. I think they hold up quite well for continuation on the daily. Nice flag setup. We'll see what happens there. And then let's take a look at the last one, IWM. IWM 238.45 pivot levels able to be reclaimed. 240.78 to 243.50 will be tested. Unable to hold 236.34 on the upside. And this is obviously trying to flag out on the daily. We'll see what happens if it's able to get above the resistance. It's got room to retest it today. I'll be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a retest of that downtrend area, and then we can see what is what. So that is IWM. Let's take a screenshot of that. All righty. So that's the SPY. That's the FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Salt Bleach for a little bit while we, well, I'll type up the pre-market action plan in like a Word document, I guess, and show you guys it there. And then we'll get ready for the open after that. Do a quick little recap. Salt Bleach, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Morning, guys. Okay, let's see what we're looking at today. Okay, bond market. 10 years flat. Okay, it had a little bit of a move intraday yesterday, right? It opened flat, and now we're trading kind of towards the top higher end of the range. I think, you know, what did we get to 170 a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago? Brought it down to like the 1.45 level. Now we're at 163. Okay. Competition for equities? No, not yet. Not even close, to be honest. 5 years unchanged. Curve stays super flat. Okay. So stocks that have growth embedded in them, you know, part of their ethos, those are the ones that have been acting well. And we've been saying that or I've been saying that, or we've been saying that, doesn't matter, for a while now. Okay, since this curve flattens, those are the kind of stocks that are going to work out. Okay, let's look over in Europe, see what's doing. There, the yield curve is flat also, and no real movement there. 10-year in London is at 0.98. So their range has been what, like about 120 and 0.6. So on the upper end of their range, but there again, no competition for equities. German 10-year right in the middle of its range, unchanged today. The range has been close to 0 and minus 0.5, so it's minus 0.24. You know, nothing to garner from this. No change, nothing. Okay, so that's that. Let's look at commodities. So oil's down $1. Broke 80. You know what? Every day they suck you in, right? These stocks open lower and rip your face off on the upside, like yesterday. Okay, be careful when you short a group that's, you know, in a bull pattern. Your trades have to, you know, you have to have stops, and you have to the time in the trade should be a lot less. than if you're going with the, you're going with the pattern that's been taking place. Okay, so contra trading, you got to be super careful. That's what shorting oil would do. Okay, copper in the middle of its range, 432. Some of these agricultural commodities, cotton's been super strong, lumber's back up a little bit, coffee's been super strong. One of the reasons I'm not so into Starbucks. And then the health, and then the price of coffee. And I don't think they have pricing power, guys. How much are you going to charge for a cup of coffee? And the coffee, I don't know. I think it stinks anyway. So that's me. Currencies, dollars mixed against North America, slightly down against Japan, down against the Chinese currency, and the euro is just garbage, 113. Okay, so dollar's weak, has been weak, has had a little bit of a strength as of late. The euro just continues to be crappy. And I'll tell you something, guys, if this Lyle Brannan or Brainerd gets the nomination for Fed governor because of her dovishness, I would think the dollar gets smashed. Just FYI. Okay, that's currencies. Let's look at crypto. So it's back above 60,000, up 0.75%. This is like the least movement we've seen in a while. Ethereum's about the same. Okay, 0.75% there as well. So great run, came in a little bit. I think it's a very bullish pattern. Nothing to be concerned about there. And if you look at overseas, what do you see? You see the DAX up 0.12, FTSE's down 0.5%. Not a whole lot of movement. Nikkei's down 0.4. China's flat. Hong Kong's flat. Okay, so very quiet. Okay, that's that. So you got the banks and the Fed. You have I think Biden said he's going to make his decision in 4 days as far as the Fed governor. Okay, the biggest effect, I think, if he does not choose Powell, I think the market will have a knee jerk down. I don't think it'll continue because she's so dovish. She's going to keep rates lower longer. The bubble will just get blown up a little bit more, but the dollar should get smoked. That's how I read it. Okay, China, I didn't see really anything out of China overnight. Crypto we discussed. Oil we discussed. The virus. Okay, so the numbers in Germany are just awful. I think it's going to come over here and get worse, only because that's been the pattern. But supposedly Germany's got a big contingent that doesn't, anti-vax. So we'll see what happens there. But I would think the numbers here, as the cold weather, moves in, I think the numbers will get a little bit worse. But I don't think it's going to have a tremendous effect on the market because I don't think they're going to get really worse. The dollar we discussed, Mr. Market. So yesterday, as far as groups with embedded growth, those are the ones that did well, right? High PE tech, semiconductors, retail did well, home builders did well, China did well. On the short side, you had airlines, machinery, consumer non-durable, and cruise lines. Okay, these cruise lines and airlines have been acting terrible. Their balance sheets, especially the cruise lines, are awful. You saw Norwegian did a big secondary today, 46 million shares. These guys can sail all day long. When you have that many shares outstanding, taking revenues and bringing them to the bottom line as earnings becomes a lot more difficult. And that's why these stocks won't move. Plain and simple. Okay. So that was Mr. Market. You see that Visa and MA are down a bunch today. There was a piece out of Europe that Amazon doesn't want to accept Visa cards anymore for transactions. I think that's the reason it's down. If there's anything else that I'm missing, guys, let me know. But that's what I read, and I walked in, they were down okay. These stocks, MA looks better than, thanks, twins. MA looks better than V. you know, look, these guys have these old companies, these old, you know, old guard companies, they're under attack. Make no mistake about it. All right. And technology, whether it's going to be from crypto or something else, these guys have their work cut out for them. Should we be seeing South Beach's screen? No, I don't use a screen. I just talk. Okay. But I think these companies have their work cut out for them. I've owned these stocks for years and years and years until recently. Okay. Because I think things are changing. Okay. And on that note, guys, you know, when you see these EV companies coming out with these valuations, okay, like Lucid and Rivian, more than General Motors and more than Volkswagen and more than Ford and all this other stuff, you know what it means to me, guys? It means Germany's got a real freaking problem, because these guys transport, you know, they export cars. That's a huge part of their business. And if you look at the action, General Motors and Ford and Volkswagen, someone put a sell on Volkswagen today. How are these guys going to replace them? The auto industry, because of government, has moved from this is a cool car situation to, you know, we have to protect the environment, global warming, and they are making it super attractive to move money into EV through all kinds of incentives. All right, and so the old guard, the Mercedes and the Audis and the BMWs, they're screwed. Okay, and I don't know how Europe comes back. The auto industry is not the auto industry anymore. It's another area of technology. And I've said on this site for years, since day one, that European technology is not even they're not even in the game. Okay, and maybe that's why the euro is so crappy. But I think these guys are really screwed. And unless they can come up with technology, which I don't think they can, it's going to be a race between companies that have technological prowess, China and the US. And all these other guys, they're going to be, you know, roadkill. That's how I see it. Anyway, that's that. Okay. Let's see what else we got today. All right. So let's look at some news out. Okay. On the long side, we had some earnings, right? Lazy Boy was good. No surprise there. People were doing their homes and stuff. Lowe's was a good number. What else? That was really the good numbers, okay? You had VIR had positive news. They're doing something with Glaxo for a COVID treatment. IIIN had a special cash dividend. Bentex is up with that with Pfizer for the booster. Let's see what else. I think that's really it on the long side. Biohaven had decent news. That's really it. Okay. On the short side, you had this DLO, BILI, Dolby, IQ, MTOR. Target is getting smoked. You know, I didn't see anything in the numbers. Maybe it's like what Walmart did, okay? They were taking these price increases and eating them and passing the savings on to their customers, thinking the price increases were transitory and they could eat it for a quarter or two. That could be the reason. Maybe because it had a great run. Let's see what kind of run it's at least. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably it. I wasn't on the conference calls because I can't say. But I'm assuming it was that. All right, let's see if anything else negative came out. AVIR terminated a collaboration with Roche. That's down a bunch. ARVL. It did a lot of guys doing offerings. I mean, like it's crazy. Verb, VCTR, Cube. I mean, when I go to the syndicate calendar, okay, guys, there's 14 secondaries coming tomorrow and Friday. and there's 7 IPOs. These guys are sucking the juice out of the market. Okay. Now, the only saving grace is when we get into holiday weeks, they generally stop. So next week, there shouldn't be very many. And then you have Christmas week and New Year's. You know, we don't get off for New Year's this year. It's a lot of BS, don't you think? So anyway, syndicate. We have this BRZE, a Goldman deal. That's probably the best one of the day, guys. 55 to 60. It came at 65. They have a customer engagement platform, you know, software. That's been what's been working. So that one's okay. Then you have JP Morgan doing a Bitcoin miner. I don't know why anybody would buy this, but IREN. And it was priced at the upper end of the range. So this one, I preferred BRZE, but IREN is another one. And this Sam Eddie Victor is the third one. So solar powered vehicles out of Germany. Maybe they do have technology, who knows? But it was a crappy underwriter, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Yeah, Brenberger or something. So this one's probably a pig. So I wouldn't play that one. So those are the 3 IPOs. The BRZE is best. And then you had a bunch of secondaries. Where are they? Cube, EYPT, V-Ray, NCLH. There's a whole slew of them. Let me see how many there were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. We don't really trade any of these names. So, except Norwegian. So that's that. All right, so there's the, let's see, Kathy, what did she do? She bought ACHR, which she continues to buy. Okay. I think these guys do flying cars kind of thing. Yeah. You know, so maybe that'll work. Who knows? She likes this HOOD. I think it's a pig. ONEM, she bought that. She bought some PAGs. She sold some letter U, which she's been selling. She sold some Zillow, which she keeps selling, and Open. She sold some of that. Okay, so that's her thing. Tonight, earnings. We have Nevada, which is the big dog, Cisco, Sono, and VSCO. That should be interesting. This might be their first quarter since they were spun off. It's either the first or the second. This is Victoria's Secret. Right, and tomorrow we have a lot. We have Baba, JD, Macy's. I'm long a call spread in Macy's. There's too many Indian circle in the wagons here. There's a lot of guys. Jan is involved. There's a couple of big hedge funds. I just think these guys are really trying to push them to, increase shareholder value. You have Kohl's coming. That stock's acted well of late. CSIQ, PLCE, BJ, Wolf. So a fair amount of names tonight and tomorrow. Okay, and we're reaching the end. When you start seeing retailers, guys, basically you're reaching the end of earnings season. Okay, and that's what we're starting to see a lot of. All right, what else do we have? We have research. Okay, let's see what these dopes said today. So Wolf downgraded, took up the material stocks, which I trade a lot of. The steels, the AA's, those kind of names. So they have a sell on one name, NUE, target 104. I would say that's my favorite name in that group by a lot. It's the best management, it's the best company, period, end of story. And they assume coverage, and this is the one they don't like. Well, when I see something like that, I say, okay, the guy at Wolf is a dope. I mean, what else can you say? That is the best of breed, period, end of story. All right. So what does he like? I'm just reading it off for your edification. When I see that, I don't care what he likes, but I'm telling you because you have a right to know. So he has outperforms on FCX, target 47, stocks 39. He likes AA, which has acted well, target 63, stocks 48. He likes Cliff, target 30, stocks 24. X, he's got a neutral on, and that's basically it. Okay. What else on the short side? So the big short call in the day, I guess, would be that thing that came out on Visa, which isn't an analyst, but nevertheless, it's important. And this Moffett Nathanson, these guys are really smart at entertainment companies. Excuse me, they really are. I just think they're very late on this call, but they're basically saying in no uncertain terms. I mean, the way he said it was very, direct and emphatic. The street's long-term revenue and earnings estimates are just too damn high. Okay, that's it. So he takes the target down to 220. The chart is terrible. The action is terrible. And he's probably right. I have Roku, the service. I don't think I've ever turned it on. The only thing I could say is it's a sticky site. Because once I don't watch that much TV. Once I get to Netflix and Amazon, I'm sick of watching TV. So that's that. AMC, Citibank raises their target from 5 to 6. Stock's 42. You want to short that? You're better off hitting you, taking a baseball bat and hitting you over the head with it. That's not going to be profitable, right? PAG and S equal to sell over at Morgan Stanley, SAN as well. Is there anything else here? Some guy, Scotia, did some oil stocks. He downgraded FANG and MRO. He raised some others. I'll get to that in a second. So that's the research. Oh, Volkswagen neutral to sell at Moffett. No, at BNP Paribas. And they also reiterate the sell in Tesla, target 780. Okay. And PayPal downgraded at Bernstein. Target goes from 260 to 220. That stock's been acting pretty crappy as well. Chart is terrible. Okay, on the long side, this is weird. Roblox reiterate outperform target 88. Hello. Stock's 115. That's Morgan Stanley. Everybody likes Walmart. Okay, across the board. Everybody likes QCOM across the board. Everybody likes Home Depot. So the lemmings are just, when the numbers come out, they reiterate their buys or whatever they do. They like all those names. They like Autodesk as well. So let's see if there's anything novel that we can look at here. Everybody likes IQV. They had earnings also. Boeing was upgraded by Wells Fargo. Not quite sure why they like it. StockX like crap. That Scotia, the oil stocks he does like are Apache and Clear. Global Seaport like Cigna. That's an interesting call. Okay, they have a 270 target. Tox 250 is 217, I think, or so. Yeah, 217. OPCO likes ENPH. A bunch of guys like Workday. Cowen has a 350 target. That's really it in the research. Okay, not much else. Group rotation. I'm going to stay with the stocks that have growth embedded in what they do. Okay, and you take your cue, I think, in these EV names from the action in RIVN, which is down a little bit this morning. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I sold some of my SIP SPI, and I had a bunch of those GOEV warrants. I sold about a half of those. And I'm still long Lucid, but I have a call spread. And that's it. Okay, so I'm going to give it to Spartan, guys, and let's have a great day, and it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Salt Beach. Guys, morning, what's going on? Let's take a look at what we got going on today. A couple different things. Pre-market tickers on watch. Everything's posted. Actually, Discord came back up, which is great. So if you want to just pause it, if you're watching the YouTube stream, guys, you can just pause it and read over the stuff here. There we go. All the charts are posted. As well as, let's take a look at the options notes. There you go. Actually, I'll just blow them up so you can actually see it. There you go. All righty, let's take a look at what we got going on today, guys. Pre-market tickers on watch. So a couple different things that we're looking at today. Tesla, Roku, low, Rivian, Lucid, and Prog. Tesla gapping up, continuation from last day's move. Roku, Moffett, Nathanson downgrades Roku to sell. Price target 220. Gapping down, low earnings beat, EPS and revs year over growth 2.7% growth. 2022 guidance raised. Rivian profit taking coming in after last day's move. We got the same thing now on Lucid, actually. And then Prog being pushed on social media, including Wall Street Bets. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint. Intraday. First two we're looking at today, guys. Tesla and Roku. Tesla 1066.24 pivot levels able to hold 1078.96 to 1095.81 will be tested. Unable to hold 1047.58 to 1013.87 on the downside. Overall on Tesla going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today if we can get back above that pivot for continuation higher. Roku pivot to the downside today is going to be that 268.59 level. That level is unable to hold on Roku. We got room lower into the 256.75 to 240.11 area. Able to hold, we look for a pushback to 276.53, sorry, to 283.47. Leaning bearish on Roku, looking for the next leg down, which we are currently getting. Let's take a look at low. Let's take a look at Rivian. Low pivot upside today is going to be the 253.45 levels able to hold. We got room towards 256.86 to 259.55. Unable to hold 249.25 to 246.74 on the downside will be tested. Over on low, leaning bullish neutral. If we can get above that pivot, I think we can get some continuation higher today. Rivian unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 155.93. Unable to hold, look for a continuation towards 150.35 to 138.91. Able to hold 169.33 to 179.65 will be tested on the upside. Overall on Rivian, going to be leaning bullish neutral if that pivot point can hold today. Let's take a look at Lucid. Let's take a look at Prague. Lucid 57.06 pivot, unable to hold 53.35 to 47.99 will be tested. Able to hold 61.76 and then room towards 67.54 on the upside. Lucid only leaning bullish if we can get above that pivot point today. Prague pivot 562, able to hold 620.680, unable to hold 507 to 467 on the downside. Overall in Prague, leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push higher today. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. SPY pivot today is 469.36. Levels able to hold 470.50 will be tested. That level breaks, we can see further continuation on the market towards 472. What is that? 472.92 looks like. All right, I'm going to type this up anyways. Okay, so SPY 469.36 pivot on the upside today. So holds room higher into the 470.50 breaks. We see the 472.90 level tested. Pivot unable to hold. Room lower into the 468.27 support. Breaks, we see the 466.97 level tested. And I'm going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today on the SPY. We'll see what happens there. So that's a SPY. Let's take a look at Apple. Pivot to the upside today is going to be these, and I do think Apple looks good. Bullish on the daily. Pivot to the upside is going to be 150.95 level holds, 151.88 to 152.48 will be tested. Unable to hold 149.79 to 148.55 on the downside. Overall on the Apple going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push higher. Does have a flag on the daily. It's going to be the key, I think, in regards to the market pushing today as well. That needs to hold up as well as Microsoft. They can push together, then we should see a nice move. But we'll see what happens. Let's take a look at Amazon. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the 35.49 level holds, 35.74 to 35.98 will be tested. Unable to hold 35.25 to 34.94 on the downside will be tested. Overall on Amazon, leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push higher. Bullish consolidation on the daily there. Netflix pivot upside today, 685.34 level hold, 692.22. Unable to hold 676.93 will be tested on the downside. Overall on Netflix, leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push higher today. Let's take a look at Facebook. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the 344.50 level. Levels able to hold 346.83 to 349.32 will be tested. Unable to hold 342.42 to 339.83 on the downside. Overall on Facebook, leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push higher. If we can reclaim that pivot point, looking for continuation lower into the 50 MA on the daily chart. If that pivot point's unable to hold, that is. Google pivot upside is going to be the 29.51 level holds, 29.75 to 3004. Unable to hold, look for a pullback to 29.24 on the downside. Over on Google, we need bullish neutral there. Let's take a look at the VIX, Qs, IWM. VIX pivot upside today is going to be the 1633 level. Unable to hold 1566, able to hold 17 will be tested in a little bit of a downtrend right now. It needs to break that pivot for continuation lower in the market to push higher though. Notable QQQs, we do have a flag on the daily, which does look quite decent. 397 pivot level holds, 399.08 will be tested. Unable to hold 395.08 on the downside will be tested, leading bullish neutral there. IWM, last but not least, pivot to the upside today is going to be the 238.45 level holds, 240.78 will be tested. Then 236.34 if that's unable to hold, leading bullish neutral on the VIX, the IWM looking for a push into that downtrend today, and we'll see if we can break through. So that's a SPY, that's a FANG. Those